welcome to the March meeting of the Commission on Aging. Today we are blessed to have from Atria Darien, Monica Lynn to do a presentation. She is joined by her colleague Dwayne Sterling. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
More than welcome. And so we'll talk to you guys in a few minutes. We'll open with a discussion of both our January and February minutes. As we've seen, I think they look a lot better now with this AI too. Cool?
Yeah.
Let's start with the January minutes. Any changes to the January minutes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the January minutes? Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any changes to the February minutes? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the February minutes? Thanks again. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye, that was about as easy as we've ever had it. Good stuff.
Good job, Penny.
Yeah, Penny and AI. You know, I hate AI, but at the same time, until the bots kill us, that was a wonderful job on the minutes. So we'll see how it goes. So in any event, it's very funny with my younger colleagues. They've never seen Terminator. I go, you need to see Terminator.
It's not a happy ending.
It's not, but I'm just telling you, guys. You know, anyway. Okay, back to Commission on Aging. It's like, why does that bald guy always do weird stuff at the Commission on Aging? I don't know. In any event, Allie, Mather Center and Human Services report.
Okay, I won't be too long. So just a few things for Human Services. We still have spots in our mental health first aid training. We try to encourage as many people to do it. That's March 31st and April 1st. This one's in New Canaan. So we have about 22 people between New Canaan and Darien, so that's good. If you want to register, you can
Where
email
in
me.
New Canaan is it?
In New Canaan Town Hall.
Town Hall?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's free. Still time to apply for energy. We still have people coming in, so that's good. It ends, let's see, March 18th. Oh, that's today. For people who heat with oil, and May 15th for people who heat with utilities. We called our emergency call list twice this winter.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, we did. Oh, thank God this is over, right? Well,
Only twice.
only twice. Well, for the big, we don't call for like
Okay.
little things, but
Just saying.
and someone was surprised because we didn't know the last storm. Like we left work Thursday thinking, it doesn't look too bad, and then all of a sudden it changed. So we were calling people on Saturday. They're like, "You're calling on Saturday?" I'm like, "Well, yes."
Nice.
But anyway, it was all good. They, as usual, they appreciate the call. And luckily we didn't have power outages because then we usually would follow up. But just a few things with the Mather Center. Yesterday we had St. Patrick's Day, which was so much fun, and had some adorable young step dancers and full house. We had our annual bingo last week. Someone in this room was a big winner, and his wife.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it was
Peter, I'm
not
guessing
rigged.
based on that smile.
It's my once-a-year event.
But we had good prizes, didn't we?
Yeah, you did this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it was whatever's left over from last year.
Right.
That's harsh.
Well, what we did this year was we have a memorial fund, which is a gifts and donations fund. And so we used some of that money to buy some good gifts, which is good. We thought a good use of it.
Very
So
nice.
we bought gift certificates to different restaurants and
Awesome.
places in town. Anyway, okay, coming up, Judy's culinary tour continues. She's doing a different state each day. And at the beginning, she comes up with some little facts of little highlights of the state. Volunteer luncheon is in April, and you're all invited. So please come for a free lunch if you can.
What day is that?
That is April 23rd. You should be getting invitations in the mail. At 11:30 is when we honor there's 28 volunteers that we're honoring. And then we all stay for lunch. So if you're able, please join us. We have our second annual talent show coming up on April 2nd at 12:30.
Will
which
Jerry
is
be
very-
back for that?
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know if she's back in April yet.
Let's
but-
hope so.
I think
Yeah. Is she?
Okay, good.
Okay, good. So that's always fun. Today we have coffee with a cop again, which was nice. We had quite a few officers come last time, so that's at 10 o'clock. And then just some highlights. We have Medicare fraud and scams presented by SWACA coming on the 24th of this month. Bobby Bush, our fire marshal, is going to talk about fire safety on the 26th. Wade and he's presenting on understanding Parkinson's disease on April 1st. The assessors and tax collectors, our Darien assessor and tax collector, are coming to describe the different programs that they offer and just give any updates to the seniors, and that's on April 6th. Then our RBNA Health is doing music therapy and brain health on 4/9. This one sounds good, I might wanna go to this one. Art Gottlieb presents hidden messages and passive aggression. He's a social worker. And then just a couple more little things that I thought were fun. A new thing is we have someone, her name is Rose Leonetti Brown. She's a professional hair and makeup artist, over 20 years experience, and she's coming to share helpful and easy tips to skincare and makeup, especially suited for mature adults.
Wow.
So that's on the 15th at 12:45 till 2. And then Dr. Markowitz is coming on the 21st to, when is it time to consider joint replacement?
Never.
Already been there.
And last but not least, on the 30th of April, the Museum of Darien is presenting Celebrate America 250 years.
Nice.
And then we're closed on Good Friday, April 3rd, and on April 28th at 1 o'clock we close early for staff, like development and planning purposes. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Any questions for Ally? Hearing none, thank you so much. And now, without further ado, we'll turn to Monica Lynn and her colleague Dwayne Sterling to talk about private senior housing options in Darien.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Welcome to my first ever PowerPoint presentation. So
Pressure.
It's one more than I've ever done.
after this, I might be able to teach you, Joe. So Joe, thank you so much for this opportunity and for having me, and thank all of you for having me today. And as Joe said, my name is Monica Lynn, and I'm the Community Sales Director at Atria Darien. Seated over here is my Executive Director, Dwayne Sterling. Today I want to talk about something that's incredibly important to all of us in this room, how we can keep Darien seniors safe, connected, and living meaningful lives right here in town. Because for most seniors, leaving Darien is not the goal, and staying in Darien safely is the goal. Before I joined Atria, I was actually on the other side of this journey. In 2019, I made the decision to move my own mother into the Atria. I always talk about the moment I knew I made the right decision. A few weeks into it, after I called her every night to check on her, of course, and say goodnight. And one night I called her and she answered the phone and said, "I can't talk, I'm in bingo." And at that moment, I knew I had made the right decision. I also speak of how the best of her final years were spent at the Atria, and they truly were. Her one activity of the day, I must say, was happy hour, but she would get home from dialysis and juice right back up. And you know, I remember meeting her for happy hour. She would put on her best and her lipstick and go down there and talk and enjoy, and then move on to dinner, and she really enjoyed it. That experience changed my life and ultimately shaped my career. Because I saw firsthand what aging can look like when the right support is in place. So my mom, Estelle, I talk about her a lot. She was vibrant, social, independent, and after my father's passing, her world became a little smaller. The woman who hosted dinner parties and took tango lessons now ended each day eating dinner alone. Slowly and quietly, things began to change. She became more isolated, less active, even canceling social plans, more fearful. She began having a drink alone at night, every night. I know I keep talking about alcohol, she never drank socially even when I was growing up. It was just something, it was her habit she picked up after my father's passing. And that one drink a night sometimes led to two, and then came the fall. The moment is one so many families fear often and then can now recognize, because often the fall isn't the beginning, it's the tipping point. So this is an actual photo of my mom shortly after the incident. She was on the floor face down for 13 hours. And this next photo over here was taken just a few months later. And if you have ever been to the Atria, you can notice that little squiggly bracelet that holds the key fob.
Yeah.
We know this, 1 in 4 seniors fall each year, and falls are the leading cause of injury for adults over 65. And fewer than half ever tell their doctors or their family. What happens next is often concerning. The fear of falling leads to reduced movement. Reduced movement leads to weakness, and weakness leads to more risk. Purpose-built environments with handrails, wide hallways, with emergency response systems can dramatically reduce these risks. We know Darien is a wonderful place to grow old and so fortunate to have this commission. About 14% of residents are already over the age of 65. I took this data from your documents. You might have updated documents. That number is growing, right? Most seniors want to remain in Darien, near their doctors, near their friends, near their routines, near their faith communities, near their families. But many are unprepared for what aging will require. I mean, raise your hand if you know what your aging will look like, and if you feel you're completely prepared. I know I don't feel that way. The important thing for all of us to understand is there is not just one option, there are many, and this town is one special place. There's a spectrum of choices in Darien. There's complete independence, there's volunteer support, community programming, senior living options. The goal is not to replace independence, it's to support it as needs change. Darien is incredibly fortunate to have organizations that step in early. Volunteer support programs help seniors stay independent longer, allowing them to age in place at home. Maintain dignity, avoid crisis transitions. These services are definitely a first line of defense. That's you.
Well, you
Programs.
don't have my picture, but.
You gotta switch that picture off.
This is you, right? You are at home in Darien. And programs like At Home in Darien are incredibly important. They provide transportation, friendly visits, help with errands, trusted referrals, and from what I understand, as of yesterday, you do furniture resurfacing.
Well, I'll talk about that.
They'll do it all, right? Ask and ye shall receive, right? Chris doesn't say no, he says, let me figure it out, which is amazing. And they help seniors remain socially connected and supported. And as I said, they'll do just about anything to help the community. We're really fortunate to have you, Chris, and we at Atria Darien feel that way as well.
Thank you.
I know we've partnered a lot together and have some things coming in the future, which is amazing. We're also so lucky to have the Senior Center. The Darien Senior Center also plays a vital role in keeping seniors engaged with exercise, educational programming, cultural events, technology, all kinds of things. And these opportunities help maintain cognitive health and social engagement. So aging in place can look differently for different people, right? It may mean living fully independent, maybe using companion care, relying on family for check-ins. It can have its challenges, right? It's not always ideal. Sometimes things are overlooked. So things like medication management, medication issues, nutrition, mobility decline. Often when you see your loved one every day, you might not notice those little changes, right? And it can be difficult for families or even the seniors themselves to fully see that risk developing. There's some positives to staying home, and we know that, right? So familiar surroundings, right? Important. Deep attachment And that's something I have found, when seniors come into my discovery room, they're so attached to the physicality of their home, or even the memories of their home, that they can't see the future because they're so focused on the past. And also establish daily rhythms, but things like a snowstorm, it can quickly become a major safety event. And we've seen this. This has been a terrible winter for seniors. Once that snow builds up, imagine how we felt during the snowstorm. I mean, I know my husband was on a business trip and I was home alone, and I felt isolated. Imagine being a senior and being in that situation and being alone. Something like a snowstorm can become a major safety event. As I said, things like getting groceries. What if you didn't prepare? You said you made those calls on Saturday. Some people weren't prepared for that storm. And I can imagine that some of our seniors went without food, right? That's no surprise. Sometimes they feel like they have to get to the mailbox every day. And that's a big challenge with ice and snow. That ice stuck around for a long time. These are real risks. When we speak to families, in Darien, we hear very similar concerns again and again. Other challenges families frequently face include driving safety. Mom won't give up the keys, right? Dad got lost driving to the grocery store. Isolation, especially after a spouse passes away or friends move away. Families start to hear the house is too quiet or the days are feeling really long, right? Things like medication management. Even highly intelligent, organized individuals can struggle when vision changes, memory changes, or routines are disrupted after an illness or a hospitalization. Full disclosure, my husband brings me my one pill every morning, my thyroid medication. Yesterday, maybe half an hour after I woke up, I said, did I take my medicine? And I asked my husband, who's a few years older than me, but way more with it than I am, did you give me my pill today? So yesterday, I may or may not have gone without my medication. Times that by 5 or by 10 pills that some of our seniors are taking in the morning or per day, and you can only imagine that this is happening more often than we know. Another thing that's really an issue is caregiver burnout, right? So often adult children are managing their own families, the sandwich generation that we all talk about, right? And sometimes they're doing it from another state or while they're working, and all wrapped up in this pretty little bow is a thing called guilt, right? Not doing enough, living too far away, feeling overwhelmed. There's hidden risks. So if a senior remains at home too long without enough support, we often see falls, we see fear and withdrawal, improper medication usage, and again, winter dangers, power outages, ice, snow removal. Something as simple as clearing a car after a storm can be, I hate to say it, a death sentence, right? Very dangerous. When needs grow, Darien is fortunate enough to offer several senior living options, each playing a different role. Each community is designed to meet different lifestyle preferences, different care needs, as well as different financial situations. This is not a competition, it's a continuum of care. And actually, yesterday, after visiting the Royal, which I feel, I was telling Chris that I ran home to my husband and I said, let's move our money in a trust and get our name on the list. It's a lovely place, right? So the Royal provides affordable independent housing options. It is income restricted and has wait lists, but it is a crucial pathway for seniors who want to remain local. But what I noticed when I looked up on the housing website is the income brackets needed, or like the bottom and the top in order to be eligible to move into the Royal. So for one person, the minimum income is $63,200 and the maximum is $75,840. And this might be a combination of assets and income, I'm not quite sure, but this was on their website. And then I know what senior living costs, right? So private pay senior living. That's a really wide gap, right? What are we missing here? What's happening to those seniors that sort of fall in that gap, right? So that's something I'd like to explore further and maybe hear more about in the future from the commission, like what the plan is to help those seniors, because it's not a wealthy individual if you have $76,000 in assets, right? But you certainly can't afford private pay senior living, and you can't qualify for Medicaid. So there's a real problem there.
Well, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
Go for it.
that's probably the top tier, they have 3 different tiers.
Yeah, so for
Yeah.
two people.
So that's not even really like low income, it's more moderate, but yeah.
Yeah, for 2 people, I saw it was 72 to 86,000, and for 3, 81 to 97,000.
That's for the top tier, then they have lower tiers, so there's people who are very low income who
Yeah.
can live there.
So what
And
happens?
it's not asset based, it's just income.
Got it. So what happens if you make $76,000 a year for one person? And I just want to learn, so that's not, you don't have to answer me now. We can talk about that, because I'm genuinely, I'm interested in that. You know, I remember going through it with my own mom, because my husband and I funded her senior living.
And that's typically what is happening, right? In other words, other family members are kicking in to take
Yeah.
care of, but ultimately it becomes a question of drawing down assets for Medicaid, right? Versus family members taking care of. And this is independent living, right? So there is a presumption that these people do not necessarily need as much care, right? In other words, so that we heard this, right? This was our snow removal issue, which is, hey, if they can't remove the snow off their cars, okay, perhaps they shouldn't be at the Royal. We were literally told that at a previous meeting. Just being real.
Yeah.
So it is more independent than you might think. In other words, that's what we've
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah, understood. Well, I just looked at it as one of the senior living options.
Right.
And the other thing, 55 and older, I was like, I mean, most 55-year-olds are still working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and will be in this economy for quite some time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's an amazing addition to Darien. You know, as I said, I'm new to really looking into the Royal, and the minute somebody hears, and that's not even low-income housing really, right?
The different tiers, yeah.
Right, so the moment somebody hears that, oh my, we can't have it in my neighborhood, but they did a beautiful job with this community. It's really well thought out and very pretty. So hopefully it's serving the community well. Another option is the residence at Selleck's Woods. So Selleck's Woods offers assisted living and memory care in a larger setting with private apartments and community dining. So Selleck's Woods is designed to support aging in place within a community setting, especially for those on the path to memory care, right? So Selleck's Woods has a memory care. It's staggering the amount of seniors that are going into or needing memory care. It's nothing like we've ever seen before. The same with Parkinson's. It's just the amount we've never imagined we'd see before. I think 5,000 people in Fairfield County have Parkinson's disease, right? Over 5,000. So being on that journey does give Selleck's Woods a little bit of a higher acuity. So for those who are a little needier medically, this is a really great option. It's a beautiful space. I love walking into Selleck's Woods, and I love the team there. Everything's new and pretty, and the apartments are quite lovely. There's Maplewood at Darien. So when I think of Maplewood at Darien, they play a key role in supporting even higher acuity. So it's more of a medical model, right? So those seniors who need a lot more care might go into some place like Maplewood or Darien, and they also have a memory care there as well. They have private apartments, but I do believe they also have that shared apartments if necessary. So like in the memory care unit, you might share an apartment with another resident, which brings down the cost, which is nice. They have the TIDES program, which bridges the gap between assisted living and memory care. So basically, I always say to families that the bridge to memory care from a cognitive diagnosis can be long, or it can be short, right? Picture in your mind of being of sound mind and body, like right today, someone tells you that you have a diagnosis. You don't get thrown into memory care, right? There's a path there, and it can be long. And I tell people, if you jump off too soon, it's a terrible thing. If you put a loved one into memory care too soon, and they are with it most of the time, not good. So having that TIDES program at Maplewood is key, because they will slowly integrate into memory care, and they are separate from the memory care activities, and they'll do things in between both community, like both members of the community, the assisted living and the memory care. They're also a smaller community, which is nice. 66 apartments. I don't think I need to read a script about Atria Darien.
No.
So, Atria Darien has been a staple, right, in this community for 29 years. Some of our staff has been there longer than the building's even been open, because they were involved in the planning of the building. I describe my community like an inn, right? It's a small community of 85 apartments with a robust engaged life programming. We're not a medical model, although we have top-notch care. We have 7 different levels of care from 0 to 6, which allows our residents to age in place, right? We have 2 residents that are 105.
Wow.
Our ages range from 72 currently to 105, as I said. And our engaged life programming is not only designed to keep our residents active and their minds going, but also it changes constantly based on the population. So for example, Ray, your mom comes in. Raymond? Yes. Your mom comes in, or your loved one comes in, and she loves to do watercolor painting. Okay. We have somebody who loves to do watercolor painting. Let's see who else in the community would like to do watercolor painting. We'll create a class for your loved one in watercolor painting. Peter, your sister's friend comes in and wants to learn French. We'll bring a French instructor in and introduce that to the community. So our engaged life is constantly changing. It's not a cookie cutter engaged life program. We also provide transportation anywhere within a 15-mile radius. Go to the beach, go to the mall, or even to Wegmans. At Atria Darien, many residents do value the predictability of the lifestyle, housing, dining, transportation, and the programming, but most importantly, the family, which is us, the staff. 60% of the staff has been here longer than 5 years, which is unheard of in senior living or even in healthcare. I won't go on and on. I'll leave my card though if you want to visit more. So as Darien's population ages, especially over residents over 75, collaboration will be essential, because the goal is not simply housing, it's quality of life and community, it's safety, it's connection, independence, and dignity. I love this. A community is measured not by how it serves its strongest, but by how it supports its oldest. And we are definitely doing that here. And this is an amazing group, and I applaud it. Thank you. Okay. Where you live can determine how well you live. And that's my contact information, but as I said, I'll leave my card as well. So I'll open to the floor to any questions.
Monica, when you meet with families, right, and obviously your job at part, with you and Wayne, is to try to get folks to agree to come to, well, obviously that's the role, right?
Yeah.
But when you're looking at people, as you determine from the different places, do you ever find yourself referring to saying, hey, you might be a better fit here, right?
More than you'd know.
Often.
Yeah.
Not everyone is a good fit for any community, right? And it happens more than you would think.
Okay.
I would either refer them, of course I want to refer them to a sister property, but that's not always the right fit for them either. We have placement specialists in this community, in Darien and New Canaan, who work for the individual looking for senior housing. They don't pay them, right? The communities pay them. So they are, they're not a fiduciary, but it's almost, they have a, they take an oath really to serve their client, not to serve themselves. And they will tour multiple communities, find the right fit financially, and medically for their loved one. So I'll refer them to all, and I do spread the love and spread the wealth, I don't choose just one, I will, if somebody comes into the community who really cognitively needs to be in a more secure
A
environment.
6+.
It's not even on our list because we don't have a memory care.
Got it, right.
Yeah.
So, that's when it usually happens. And then finding that perfect, it's a feeling, I can show you a million slides, but it's the feeling you get when you walk in, when you're looking for your loved one. It's just a feeling, just like when you bought your first home.
Yeah.
And listen to your gut when you walk in. I might not be the perfect spot, maybe Celix is, or maybe Maplewood is, or maybe something else, or Waveney, or, but going to the communities, during their active times, maybe during lunch, or during dinner, or during a music event or something at the community, and see how everyone interacts, see what the population looks like, and see if you get that feeling. That's my advice.
So how much medical support do you offer? Because that's the key issue. You don't really have the assisted living as such. Or you do, and I know people can have aides.
So actually, we are an assisted living. So we are a licensed assisted living, and we offer 7 different levels of care. So when I say 7, I count 0 as a level of care. So when somebody comes into my discovery room and decides they would like to live in Atria Darien, we do a full assessment, medically and cognitively, and then we determine what care level they're on. It's really designed for you to age in place, in the sense that hopefully you'll never get past that, level 6, but past that level 6 you might need an aid. So for example, if you need a 2-person assist, right, you might need to be in skilled nursing at that point, or what we thought of when we were growing up as a home, right? Which is more like a hospital setting. But until that comes, we are able to handle just about everything. You also need to be able to ambulate. So whether it's in a wheelchair or with a walker or a cane, if you need somebody to push you to everything, that might not be the ideal situation. It gets tricky at that point. You might have to bring an aide in. So we are an assisted living and offer just about the same care as any other assisted living does. Residents, some have been there for 10, 12 years, and as they age in place, even to hospice, because this is their home. So it would be the same as having stayed in your own home, in a new home, with a community around you, with lots of activities, and having the care right there. And having that emergency button that you have somebody in your apartment within a minute.
And where do you, when they do need the nursing care, skilled nursing, where do they go?
For the most part, they typically stay in their apartment and they would hire the additional aide. Since I've been there,
Yeah.
I haven't had anybody leave because their care couldn't be handled either by us or by some combination of an aide and us. It's much more affordable to do it through us because we're task-based care. And what I mean by that is the tasks like bathing, toileting, dressing, grooming, queuing maybe, escorting, those are tasks. So we don't have somebody sitting in your apartment, 8 hours a day and 8 hours overnight. It's the tasks that you need. And if you need more than that, at the point that you need somebody to be there right next to you, then you would have to hire an aide. We can handle a lot, and we do.
And how many people have aides?
I would say probably,
Not that many.
50% of our community is on zero care. And then maybe 8
Yeah.
to 10
Probably like
aides.
6%.
And sometimes it's a temporary situation. So for example, a resident broke her elbow. And she's been on no care, now she has full-time care. Once her elbow heals, she'll go back probably to no care or maybe a level 1 care. And it's very fluid. So for example, you have an injury or you're feeling ill or you're weak and you have an aide, you get stronger. We have physical therapy right there in the community. And as you get stronger, your needs change. We're constantly assessing and it's very fluid. It's not like, it's the first of the month, you're coming off now. No, it's like, okay, you don't need this anymore because we want to lift you up. We're not heavy on the care, as far as we're not care pushers, let's put it that way. We want to lift you up, for sure.
And are you full, or do you have rooms for people at any given time?
So we typically hover around 95% to 96% full. And I would say just about all of the communities in our area are like that. So I don't know that there's ever where you'd have to wait for months to get an apartment. And also, we do a lot of what we call the Atria Darien Shuffle. So, for example, let's say your neighbor wanted to come in, but only wanted a 1-bedroom deluxe, and we only had 1 bedrooms available. We would get your neighbor the 1 bedroom, and then they would go right to the top of the waiting list, and the minute that 1-bedroom deluxe opens, we'd move you right over. You wouldn't even have to lift a finger. Well, you'd have to walk over. But yes, so you'd be able to get the apartment that you wanted. We'll
Right.
always figure it out.
I'm just curious, do you have any, and I don't know if this is even, I think some assisted livings do, but I could be wrong, any mental health professionals that you work with, that like therapists that will come in and work with those who need some extra support?
That's such a great question, and we do, absolutely. We have a social worker on staff full-time, and we also work and partner with Darien Wellness. We do group therapy, and we do transitions, and then they do one-on-one therapy in the apartments as well. It's so important. I've learned so much this last year, and seeing the amount of anxiety in our seniors. I don't know if it's just that they're thinking about the inevitable or they're thinking about how they're losing control, but it's just prevalent. It's really sad.
Yeah. Different people process things in different ways, so we provide that support for those who do need it.
Great.
What's the range of your monthly fees? I realize there's different levels and different apartment styles and stuff.
Of course. So our apartments start at around $8,000 a month, and it can go up. Obviously, it goes up. A 2-bedroom might be, $15,000 or $16,000 a month. But that's all inclusive, right? So that covers all of your meals, all of your transportation, cable TV, Wi-Fi, housekeeping, laundering of your towels and linens, all of the activities, it also, the pull cord and the
Emergency
emergency pendant. What else does it include? Cocktails.
That's an added benefit.
Hopefully you limit how many
We
cocktails you can have.
absolutely do. We absolutely do. Sometimes families are like, I brought you this non-alcoholic wine from my mom. But yeah, so it does include everything. And what I tell tours is, just to sort of make it easier to understand, is that everything's included except getting a manicure. So, or getting your hair done. Those salon services are not included, but we do have a full service salon on staff.
So you have the option of cooking at home or going to the dining room, is that how that works?
So we do, every apartment has a full kitchen, but Mary, I have to be honest with you, after residents leave us, I always will go and check their apartment. I've never seen an oven used. The only time, our food is amazing. We're a top tier Atria within Atria. We have 240 communities throughout the country and
Growing.
Canada, right, and growing to 42 now. Our food is really well known. In fact, if you ask the leadership in Kentucky and also at Ventas, the real estate company that owns a portion of us, if they were going to send their loved one somewhere, where would it be? And they all choose Atria Dairy, which is amazing. And a lot of it has to do with our food and more things, but our food is really top notch. But your question was about cooking or meals.
They have the
Meals are
option.
included,
They have
but
the
you're
option.
welcome to cook.
But they never use the option to cook in their apartments.
If I'm gonna do assisted living, I don't wanna cook.
Yeah, no,
Thank you. I
Right.
wanna live on a cruise ship,
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Right.
And
We have
that's what
residents
it's
who
like.
bake, you know, we have a baking group,
That's
so,
Oh,
so
there
we
you
have,
go.
and we have
That's
a,
different.
we have a common area, open and a recreational activity space. So we have this resident who, is really, a really great baker, and she makes her homemade cookies.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What's the process for applying into your facility?
Yeah, so first fall in love with us, and then the rest is easy. So basically, if the loved one is in rehab, let's say, then we're able to get medical clearance from rehab as far as we need a physician's form. That does make it a little easier, because you know how healthcare is lately. You go to the doctor, you need a form, it's weeks, it's hours, it's months, it's they're so busy, right? So we do need a medical form filled out, and we need a TB test, which is very easily done. And some seniors have had it already within the year, so it's fine. And it's a month-to-month lease, so it's very
So
flexible.
your commitment is
60 days.
6 days.
6 to 2 months up front.
Yeah.
Well, the commitment is meaning 2 months notice if you want to leave.
Oh, right.
So it's a month-to-month lease in that sense. As there is a community fee that you pay up front, and then you just pay your rent every month,
Okay.
and it's all inclusive.
And memory care
So-
doesn't add on to that cost?
So because we don't have a memory care, our population is a little lower in acuity, meaning their needs medically are slightly lower, right? But if memory care is 100% needed, because remember, there is that bridge,
Right.
then we would help refer you to another community. If you're already living with us, what happens if you're already living with us and then start to show signs of cognitive decline, right? So as long as you're not a danger to yourself, meaning you're not an elopement risk, meaning you're not gonna run away and run down the highway, we can typically handle that within our community. I think I mentioned we're a tight-knit community. You know us and we know you. And we're always having conversations with families when there's something like a cognitive impairment happening.
So the patient is signing from the start, or your resident is signing from the start, a waiver of any confidentiality, so you can talk with the family.
So, not necessarily.
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
interesting.
depends.
Yeah, some
Yeah, it
residents
does
are their
depend.
own responsible parties.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, right, so
Yeah.
it's a responsible party issue. In other words, if there's a responsible party, then you guys are open to talk to the responsible party. If there's no responsible party,
Right, but again, Joe, we're not, like, if we see something,
Yeah,
right, and you have an emergency contact,
yeah,
right, and what we see is dangerous.
Of course,
I think that constitutes an emergency.
agreed.
So, for example, I heard a story once that a resident of a certain assisted living walked out into the parking lot, got into a car that was not theirs, and started it, and claimed they were going to Argentina.
Yeah,
That,
It's a long drive.
it is a long drive. It's a long
Love it,
drive. And that particular individual had to legally, it had to be reported to the state,
Sure.
right? Because it's an elopement, and then they couldn't, that was a safety issue,
Of
so
course.
they could no longer be in an assisted living.
I'm just thinking of the gray area when the person is starting to be a little shaky, right?
I think you need to come
Yeah.
speak at our community to
I-
families.
I'm done doing that. But at the end, but it is an issue, I'm sure, for every single facility of the patient's autonomy, the resident's autonomy
Yeah.
versus the family's concerns about that resident.
Yeah, and Joe, what we typically do is that we do an agreement. A part of that is that the residents give us, they sign a disclosure up front in the beginning to tell us that, you know, if this were to happen, it's okay to talk to this person or this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, agreed, I mean, that's the key.
So we
That
get
is
that ahead, even for somebody who presents well and is independent.
Very smart, very smart. Cool.
So, as I said, if there is cognitive impairment, it doesn't mean somebody has to leave.
Right.
They can stay, as long as they're not a danger to themselves or others. And then at some point, maybe they might need an aide, just for, or companion care, just for queuing, right? I mean, we can do the queuing as well, but often people with a diagnosis, they're not on our schedule, they're sort of on their own schedule. So having that companion care or private aid might help them be able to stay longer. And what about when you have one part of the couple who needs memory care and the other one who doesn't? I mean, these are real questions and real problems. You know, when you choose a community because your loved one has a cognitive impairment, and you're choosing that community solely because they have the facilities for that individual, you can't live together. They're moving somewhere else, and it might as well be across the town if it's in another building or in another floor, because it's on a locked floor. So it's also something to think about.
How many couples do you have that are together?
I would say, we have a lot of couples and we have a lot of men.
Are you talking about people that came in as couples or because?
Yes, yes, yes. Wait,
It's the happy hour.
Happy hours is rocking.
we are being filmed. So we have, I want to say about 10 couples.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. It is a lot.
It
And
is.
we have 35% male, which is higher than the national average. We have been bringing a lot of men lately.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and they're popular.
They are bells of the ball.
Yeah.
Question, listen for everybody else, any other questions?
I just have a quick comment.
Sure,
You
Chris.
know, you talked about working together and you guys have been supportive of what we do, which is important. You know, our mission statement provides services to help seniors stay living at home and independent as long as possible. And the word home is, you know, we've asked ourselves internally, what does that really mean? Is it the standalone single-family dwelling? Is it home staying in Darien? But I think it's important, you know, that kind of relationship that we have with you, because we spoke about this morning. One of our members that we support in a lot of different ways had been living independently, went into the atria, and came back out. So I do appreciate your support of the organization and our continued, you know, work together on that.
Yeah, for sure. So, yes, so what Chris is talking about is respite care. So we also offer respite care. So, and this particular individual came out of the hospital after a terrible fall, and she still needed a little more support and wasn't ready to move back home yet. So we're able to offer respite care where you can come into our community for a month or 2 months or 3 months, get better, get stronger. And I put my money where my mouth is, aside from my mother living at the Atria, I'm moving my father-in-law in after he gets out of rehab from a broken wrist. So that's also something to think about. Once you get discharged from rehab, that doesn't mean you're ready to go home.
Did you say the minimum is 1 month for respite?
Correct.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, Monica and Dwayne, thank you so much for coming. You're welcome to stick around for the next few minutes.
I
as we
hope I didn't
catch up.
take up too much time.
No.
No, great, great
Good.
discussion.
Thank you.
That's really, really helpful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. So turning to old business, Peter, you got something for us?
I do. For AARP, we had a big meeting in Hartford last week. The 2 pushes are going to be voter registration and again, a tax credit for family caregivers of $2,000. And you know, we never thought we would have to worry about voter registration. We really didn't. And our state has very strong voter registration votes. But there's all of a sudden this emerging fear of what SAVE might do, how federal regulations will impact state regulations, and we're starting to see concern among our members. And so there's going to be a full court press to make sure, because we know seniors are the most powerful voting bloc, to make sure that what we have here in Connecticut, ease of voting, absentee ballots with no excuses, early voting, a more simplified registration process stays in place. Again, it's sad in a way because it's a distraction from the other issues that we're dealing with much more significance. So you'll be seeing a lot more of that. Darien Library, tax aid, even with 2 days of bad weather where we didn't do it, we have completed 700 filings. And folks watching on Channel 79, just visit the Darien Library website or simplifiedconnecticut.org or AARP.org and put your information in and you can get free tax. We're about a month away. And so again, every slot was filled on Monday, so there's a real demand there. We'd encourage people to do that. The Live from the Mid-Opera series, we have 2 of them left. Sunday, March the 29th is the Magic Flute. Sunday, April the 12th is Tosca. And great news, I just heard from the library yesterday that we're going to have a 2nd season next year.
Nice.
So the attendance has been over 80 people an event, and we're going to continue that program. And again, I would encourage people to visit the Darien Library and go to events. One of the things that's really emerging now is it looks like there are going to be a series of events focused on our 250th celebration of the country, and not just what we're going to be doing celebrating, but what it means and what we do looking forward. SWACA, we had an interesting meeting this week. It focused on a single subject, which was advanced directives. Okay, it's becoming really much more complicated these days with hospice at home and things like that. Advanced directives, and again, MOLTS, these medical orders for life-sustaining treatment. There's a great website at Yale New Haven, and again, we encourage everybody to do this, for yourself or your family members, to make sure that medical directives all the way to end-of-life directives are in place, because again, we know more and more people are staying at home as they die in hospice care, and again, it becomes complicated with emergency assistance. So that's a real important subject. And then the Commission on Aging organization for Connecticut is still in formation stage, and there'll be more on that coming out in the next month, but in brief, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Chris, what's going on at home in Darien?
Couple of dates and events that we're doing. We went to Molto, brought a group to Molto last week as part of our Out and About Eats program. And we had 23 members participate. It was awesome. I participated at that lunch, and it was great for Molto, so great for the community, and the feedback was fantastic. So that was good. Tomorrow, as a byproduct of the senior center in Trumbull reaching out to Liz and her team downstairs. We are taking a group to the Westport Country Playhouse
Nice.
to do a private tour and go backstage and look at props and costumes. So we're excited about that as part of our out and about trips process. And we haven't forgotten about the Mets. So we gotta talk about that.
Put the date on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. If you guys want to email me and say, hey, listen, this would be a great thing for us to do in May, okay? And say that you'd be interested in doing that. I'm looking for 6 people to email me, okay? I think we need a minimum of 6, okay? So I'll pass this on. If I get 6 emails, we will take your thing with your permission and timing to a Mets game to see what the van is like. It'll be an afternoon game, right? But 6 emails is what I'm looking for. So it's on you guys as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough? Because I'm not going to circle, oh, please come to the Mets game. 6 emails, so we'll see if we can make that
Do you
happen.
have a date in mind, or you're gonna see what?
Sometime in May, I just want 6 people to
Okay.
commit, right? To say, I would be willing to go if it's the right date, right? But at the end of the day, without 6, it doesn't make sense to take the van, we could take a car.
Yeah.
Can you take more than 6?
Yeah.
9 or
Well, I know the
10?
van can,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
wasn't sure if you only had 6.
No, I want a 6 commitment out of the
Oh,
commission
gotcha,
before we do a
Gotcha.
commitment, because if we get 3 people riding in the van, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a good example. We are looking to connect with organizations with the use of our van. You may all, and folks watching may have heard John Zagrodzky talk about Great Island and transportation schedules and challenges. So we are going to probably at Memorial Day, when they schedule open up that first part of it, to be providing some rides and transportation into the island or onto the island. So we still have to kind of frame that out, but we're excited to use the van for that. May 7th, we are holding a donor thank you event, which is very new to us. And Sue Oki and the other members of the board on this committee have been very central in doing that. But it's going to be at Sue Oki's residence. So.
Maybe modified, but we'll.
Yeah.
Good job, Chris.
She
Sue,
just kicked
you're
that
hosting.
down already. Long range, yeah, committed, okay. Yeah, to be determined where, but,
No,
yeah.
it'll be
Um,
good.
But, no, we are working on it now. And a couple other dates, July 19th, last year, the Darien Men's Association, who was very kind to sponsor a golf tournament for us, they're doing it again. July 13th, Monday, July 13th. And I probably have spoken a couple of times on that. Our partnership with the Darien Men's Association has continued to grow, and we now have 3 members of our board, new members of our board, in addition to a couple of others existing who are from the DMA. So, partnering with other organizations has really been a focus of a growing focus of ours, right? Rising tide lifts all boats. So things that we're doing, we think we can only do more with the partnerships like with Atria and other civic organizations. So we're going to be working on more of that. And last thing, our Out and About newsletter, which comes out three times a year, which goes to every dwelling and business, will be coming out probably next week, early next week. So be on the lookout for that.
Questions for
Thank you.
Chris? Sure. Hearing none, thanks so much, Chris, appreciate it. Awesome. Other old business? Any new business?
Joe,
Yes, sir.
would it make sense for our commission to get some information in the next couple of months about what is going to be happening in town around the 250th celebration?
You beat me to it. That was gonna be my new business, okay? The new business is June 13th is the big day, from what I understand. That there is going to, the Mather Homestead, I think, is maybe behind this, but it certainly is part of this. There's going to be 10 different places that have historical connections to 1776. That's going to be like a tour, right? So each person can go stop anywhere you want to. How do I know this? I am the church historian, First Congregational Church. What am I trying to put together? Moses Mather, who was there when the raid on the meeting house happened by the Tories who came in and took people across. We have some of his sermons, okay? We're going to try to put together, and I learned this from the MLK Museum, which was amazing. Across from the MLK Museum, was MLK's church, and they have an ongoing tape So you get to sit in the pew, close your eyes, and hear King preach. It's so powerful, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing with Moses Mather, right? So I'm working with our tech people, working with our pastor to come up with a Moses Mather sermon that's gonna be playing as you walk through our meeting house, right? So that's one example. But there'll be other places in Lower Fairfield County which will have that June 13th. But I think that if there's other things that are going on, glad to hear, we can hear that at our April meeting. So, you know, folks, come back, tell me what was part of our business in the April meeting, what else? But my understanding is June 13th is the big day right now, all right, for that purpose. Cool. Other new business? I've got a piece, a happy birthday to Ray. He just turned 93, am I right? You're the man. All right, so it's so great. Are we ready? What's one verse? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ray. Happy birthday to you. You're the man, Ray.
I think it was your birthday, Joe, recently.
No, we're not talking about that. Okay, so in any event, great to see everybody. Thanks so much for coming. A motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved. So thanks, great. We'll see you in April. And thank you so much, Monica and Wayne. Appreciate it.